Hi, Chris Newman, Truth and Consequences. Some of you might be questioning, what's all this Bible stuff? Every time we go into one of these accounts that I put on the board, we are investigating human relationships. Human relationships have been going on for years, millennia. So we are in the same territory, in the same situation, right inside the framework. So the stories symbolize or represent many elements going on inside the human heart, and funnily enough, some of it may even resonate with your family, your work, your life experience, even your own inner dialogues. Let's jump on to Noah's story, which is a particularly fascinating one. So the ongoing human crisis, Noah's family. The summary I've given is new hope, then deferred, which is a big come down at the end of the story. So God's, we earlier referred in a previous presentation to Cain's failure. Cain failed with his brother Abel in their offering to God. Cain failed himself. He fell into the trap of the lurker who was waiting for him to give way to his feelings of resentment. So the responsibility devolved now to Noah. Noah, being a man of faith, somehow God found Noah in humankind, and Noah's story, he's next after the headache with mankind that God was having, and the sadness of losing Cain and all that multiplying out into murder and confusion in society. Now, Noah had a heavier burden than Cain and Abel or Adam and Eve. But mankind is still dealing with the fruit of the tree of the knowledge, good and evil. In Noah's story, his faith offering was to believe in God's direction. Noah, build me an ark. What's an ark? And then the description. It's going to take you a long time. It took 40 years. So it seems that he had to make a period of 40 years to make a substantial offering, which was to build the ark. And all that time, Noah had to keep his family unified. If his wife complained, he had to explain to her. If his sons moaned why dad wasn't taking them for outings, he had to say, well, look, I've got a big project and I'm having to make a deep sacrifice for all of us. But in the long run, it will be right, because I've already found out from my faith with God where we are going. So Noah kept unswervingly on his path, which was much heavier than Cain or Adam and Eve's offering. His offering had to be quite significant. Now, the story of the ark, after the 40 years, there was a flood, which was anticipated or prophesied. People were wiped out. And in the end, the ark settled on land with Noah's family in it. Now, please don't worry about the elephants and rhinoceroses and giraffes and pandas and all these other creatures on the ark. The story is not about animal husbandry or Noah's career as a vet. It's about a family dynamic. Now, Noah's family, at the end of this period of the flood, there was 8 people. There was Noah, his wife, and his 3 sons and their wives. There may have been other people on board, descendants, but these are the ones in the centre of the story. They remained united under God's authority. First time in history that a family group had kept their faith and acted together and worked within God's instructions and didn't surrender to any of those difficult feelings that Cain gave into, or the temptations of Lucifer and so on. You read the story in Genesis. God could re-bless mankind via Noah's representative family. Now there's a representative family. Noah qualified as God's new central figure. His first central figure was Adam. Then there was hope for Cain. Now we've got Noah. What's Noah going to do? He did everything right. So what went wrong? Something went wrong. Noah and the family 100% succeeded through their flood offering based on Noah's leadership. Therefore, the new beginning for God and man was established. And you can read the beautiful passages in Genesis which express that triumph in God's hope. Then Noah, time went on, established a vineyard. He got his home brew going, and he had a bit of a drink, and he lay naked in his tent. Not in the open, not exposed, not in public, in his own tent. Son Ham viewed innocent and victorious naked Noah. That's the story. Son Ham, don't you think he should have felt love and respect for his dear dad? His dear naked but innocent and victorious dad? And looked on him and thought, that's my hard-working pop finally taking a break. That's not what happened. Ham judged naked Noah with shame. Shame. He felt shame on Noah and projected that on Noah. Noah wasn't having any bad feelings. In fact, he was lying there blotto. But he had been quite happy. God had 7 days of creation. It took rest on Sunday. Noah took a break after 40 odd years of hard effort. Here's the point. After their fall, Adam and Eve felt shame for their nakedness. They hadn't done anything wrong, naked-wise, but they felt shame. Why? Because they'd broken their agreement with God and they were hiding their hearts from Him. Ham had some difficult feeling toward Noah and he didn't resolve it. So he united with shame. The invasion of Luciferian feelings of shame and disrespect towards Father. Then Ham acted satanically. He went to see his two brothers. One was called Shem and the other was called Japheth. And he said, my brothers, Father's lying naked in his tent. It's disgusting. We've got to do something about it. So what the brothers did, the older one is Shem, and then in the middle one was Ham, and the younger one was Japheth. So Shem is a bit like Cain, and Japheth's a bit like Seth. And Ham is sort of in an able position here, isn't it, like Adam's family. They refused, Shem and Japheth, to get involved with Ham's shame. What they did was they took Noah's cloak, they found it there, and respectfully went backwards and tossed it over their dad so that to cover his nakedness. And they did that respectfully. They did not go, oh, shameful Noah, da da da. That didn't happen. So they refused Ham's shame, but when Noah awoke, he realized he had been interfered with satanically, and he found out it was Ham. He cursed Ham into slavery and Ham's descendants. And Noah was devastated. And all it was he woke up and he was covered. Who covered me? He was absolutely devastated. Why? Because Ham embraced the fallen emotions of shame and attempted to involve his brothers. He brought Lucifer's feelings into the family, which prior to that had done a huge effort and succeeded. And then this one guy spoiled it by his self-centered feeling. Result, Noah's foundation was invaded by Satan and God was blocked from operating any further with that family. So everything came to a dead halt. But one big consequence in the heavenly side was God could say, humans do have faith and they do stick to their agreements with me. But then Lucifer can say, oh, that's all right. But look what Ham did. That shows how they break it again. So you see how this is now a point of accusation against humankind. So to summarize, Noah's family was new hope which became deferred, even though the family followed and Noah the father led the family in the heavenly way for 40 years and did everything right, and God could bless them. At the new beginning, when everyone was taking it easy and relaxed a little bit, the son Ham blew the whole show. And that feeling of shame towards your parents is something that needs to be clarified, because if you have those feelings, you need to look more deeply and be grateful to the parents. If the parents, even if the parents act wrongly, you still have to accept that they are your parents and treat them with respect and not judge them or tear them down. This is essential. A lot of people don't understand that. And it's so popular with this pop psychology these days to attack your parents and say, oh, you know, they're old Christian values or something like that. A bit of respect goes a long way. And if Ham had just walked on and said, Dad looks a bit funny, but I'll just deal with that later, everything would have worked in a different way, much more heavenly. God would have been able to work through Noah's family to build a new foundation on earth. Instead, it was broken. And we will now have to explain the next part, how it all fell down onto the shoulders of another guy called Abraham. Thank you for your interest. I think you'll see that there are many points in the story that impact on the way we treat each other and the way we treat our parents. Thank you. Chris Newman signing out.